Hi guys! So today's lesson is going to be for Friday, May 1st. It is May. We made it. A couple more weeks left. We can do it. Keep it up. So you have a bell ringer today. You have to start a new bell ringer document. Don't forget to rename it. First name, last name, May bell ringer. How exciting. We made it to May. That's awesome. Great job, everybody. So answer the bell ring question, and we're going to do two slides today. We're doing slides 32 and 33. Both of them are writing slides, but we can get through it. So the last thing we talked about was other Cold War conflicts. We focused on the Suez Canal and tensions between Egypt and Israel and the Soviet Union kind of getting involved and saying, hey, I want control of this territory because you want control of a canal because you control trade. That's big. Then we also talked about Africa and how certain territories in Africa were fighting for and gaining their independence. However, there's going to be some unintended consequences for that because if you gain your independence and you don't have a plan or a government set up or an economic system set up or established, or you don't know how, then you're going to have some struggles and your people are going to be very upset. So that's going to happen in certain countries in Africa, and a lot of the countries, which we've talked about in Unit 2 when we were talking about colonizing Africa, they're still struggling today establishing a government and economic system. So all those years under colonization and being controlled by mother countries really hurt them because they have a lack of experience in what to do. And during the Cold War, we kind of like looked away and didn't help them as much as we should have because we were worried about the Soviet Union. So we kind of forgot about them. So slides 32 and 33 today, we are doing attempts at arms control. This is what the slide looks like. Attempts at arms control. We have one vocab word on there. Kind of getting back to, the constant threat of nuclear war. So the relationship between the East and the West was largely hostile throughout the Cold War. Some attempts at cooperations were made. Both sides worked to limit the spread of nuclear weapons and to avoid the threat of nuclear war. Something that I kind of want to preface as we go through these slides here is that we're just going to be like moving through different presidents. This is a time where we're getting through information very quickly, like in our own content, like what we're focused on, but we're just moving through presidents here. So we were at JFK, then JFK was assassinated. Now, in one slide, we're moving from President Eisenhower to President Richard Nixon. So we're just going to be moving through presidents. Try not to worry about that too much. I know presidents are very important. Trust me. I know presidents are very important, but we have to get through this stuff because a lot happens, and I want to not focus so much on like, congrats, new president. So in 1955, President Eisenhower proposed an open skies treaty with the Soviet Union, which would allow each side to fly over the other's territory and gather information. Neither side would have to imagine the worst of their enemy, which, thinking about what the enemy might have, already like sets in a huge amount of fear. So we also had the experience, which we watched that video clip of the Bridge of Spies, where we had a spy plane fly over the Soviet Union and they shot him down and they took our pilot. And that was the whole story of the actor that played Tom Hanks played the real person trying to go and get our pilot back. That was a true story. So President Eisenhower says, let's make an open skies treaty where we can just fly over each other's territory. You can see if we have nuclear weapons. We can see if you have nuclear weapons. Then no one's scared. The Soviet Union says, absolutely not. That's not going to happen. And so now we are left to either still fly over and risk the idea of like somebody attacking our plane and then taking our pilot, or fly over and make it through and take pictures. We need to know, or we just sit here and imagine that the Soviet Union has the worst of the worst. So we're kind of in a pickle here, but it was a good idea. The Soviet Union just didn't want to deal with it. Then in 1968, Richard Nixon was elected U.S. president. He called for détente. This is what it looks like. I have it phonetically spelled out for you, détente. I actually heard détente on the news the other day, and I'm so sorry, I cannot remember the context of what they were talking about, but I heard the word détente, and I was like, oh, we're going to talk about that. So détente means reducing tension between the superpowers, kind of like everyone take a deep breath, let's calm down for a second, and pause, and let's do this diplomatically instead of using our military. So how can we, let's take a pause, and how can we move forward? One result of his efforts was to start negotiating with something known as the Strategic Arms Limitations Talks, or SALT 1. So this is, again, diplomatically, we're talking about how do we move forward. So strategic arms, those are the nuclear weapons, and how do we limit nuclear weapons? This is SALT 1, so you can assume there's going to be a second one. The talks led to agreements limiting the number of nuclear weapons held by each side. This is exactly what we want. How do we talk about this? There's no reason why the Soviet Union should have 3,000 nuclear weapons. So let's limit them. Let's limit them. And there's also no reason why the United States should have 3,000 nuclear weapons. Let's limit the amount of weapons that we have, and that's going to calm down this arms race. Because remember, it's going very quickly, and we both have hydrogen bombs now. The Soviet Union's in space. Like, this is a very scary time. So let's calm down, détente, and let's think about this diplomatically, move slower, and limit the amount of nuclear weapons that we have. Next up, we have the Anti-Ballistic Missile, or AMB Treaty, which prevented the development of weapons that were designed to shoot down nuclear weapons. So imagine kind of like a shield, right? Like if we have our detectors sensing like there might be a nuclear bomb on the way, the AMB treaty limited the development of those weapons. This was because both sides now remained vulnerable. If we had like a shield or something like that, that prevented a nuclear bomb from entering our atmosphere, that would mean that we were ahead of the Soviet Union, and we're trying to slow this down diplomatically. We want everyone to talk about things and not be too, not quick to jump the gun here. Now we're both vulnerable. If neither of us have weapons to stop an attack, then both of us are vulnerable for an attack, which will then stop us from attacking the other side. That's mutually assured destruction. If I know you can completely destroy me, and you know I can completely destroy you, we're both vulnerable. Now we won't attack each other. Mad. Make a summary for that slide. Next slide. 32, 33. Changing Societies, America. So how are citizens in the United States going to respond to potential nuclear war and the constant threat of the Soviet Union just hanging over us all the time? Like, oh God, what are they going to do? So we are going to talk about some fun stuff. I'm going to post some pretty cool stuff on the discussion thread. So pay attention to that, because we're getting into one of my favorite topics. We have the nuclear family, we have the TV shows, and Joe McCarthy. So I'm excited. So pay attention to the discussion thread, because I'm going to be posting some fun information and fun facts and stuff, which is great. So our slide here, Changing Societies, America. There are no vocab words on this slide, but this is just basically saying okay, overall, how are Americans doing with this threat? And on this slide, we're mainly focused on the economy, not our emotions or anything yet. We'll get to that, but we're focused on the economy. So the post-war United States was a land of tremendous prosperity. We came out of World War II an economic superpower because we won. Wars are really great for your economy if you win, and we did. The U.S. economy, already the most powerful in the world, enjoyed great success in the years after World War II. Most of the economic growth was driven by consumer spending or consumer confidence. So if the United States citizens, if we feel confident, that's consumer confident, if we feel confident in our economy and our ability to purchase things, like our purchase power, like my money means something. If I go to the gas station and I want to buy a candy bar, I can give that person $1 and it means something. That's consumer confidence. And I will spend money. If I'm confident in my money, I will spend that money. And remember, the government needs us to spend our money. Like that is how the government functions. You will see today, not trying to be a Debbie Downer, but because we aren't spending money, our government our stock market's going down, the economy's going down, because all of us all at the same time stopped spending money, which we were forced to because everything closed, because we have a pandemic, all of that. But our ability to spend money and our ability not to spend money, that impacts the economy, and the government needs us to spend money. This is why the president is giving us stimulus checks, because, hey, here's some money, spend it. That's going to boost the economy. So after World War II, everybody was spending money. Everyone was buying things. There's new gadgets out there for people to buy, new inventions, new factories, new businesses. It's really great. It's a great time to be alive, and people are buying. Industries are going to suffer because we don't need that stuff anymore. The industries that were producing cars, automobiles, or that had been working to produce goods for the military using the Defense Production Act, you know, your factory is now going to produce tanks. You're forced to because we're in the middle of a war. Well, we aren't in a war anymore, so obviously those industries are going to slow down. This happened after World War I as well, but just because those industries are going to slow down, that doesn't mean that other ones can't boost. So like at the very bottom, I have like creating new jobs were created in advanced technology. So it's like, okay, we might not need this industry so much anymore because we're not in the middle of a war, but we do need more technology in this sector. Or we have new banking systems, healthcare systems, sales systems, right? So like, or salesmen or saleswomen, right? Like these people are finding new types of jobs because we don't have a war. So we're not just living the same way anymore. Like we had learned something from World War II and we're creating new jobs from World War II. So some industries are going to slow down because we don't need them that much for the war because the war is over with. But other industries are going to boost up because it's like, wow, this is amazing. We can do this now, or I have the money to do this, and new jobs are going to be created. So we kind of learned and said like, all right, how can we make life better? And let's create more jobs and different jobs, especially in technology. After World War II, we know this, that, you know, obviously when we went to the Cold War, we're in an arms race and a space race, and we need to keep up, and we need to like advance and become better and better and better and better. So yeah, we're an economic superpower, but we want to be smarter than every other country, and we just want to be better than every country. And that mindset is like Americanism, really. Like we're just like, all right, let's be better, let's be better, let's be better. I'm not saying that we are. Other countries, of course, like they have their own specialization. We have our own specialization. That's why we work together. That's why we have world trade, right? That's the point of being in a world. You work together, hopefully. So that's our mindset after World War II. How do we become better, and what kind of jobs are out there? What kind of jobs can we create now that the war is over with? Okay. That is all I have for that slide. Make a summary for both of them. Don't forget the vocab word on the last slide. Like I said, pay attention to the discussion thread this week and next week, maybe next week, I'll be posting some super fun and exciting stuff. So that's it. All right. Bye, guys.